they do have a little bit of a different. I mean, they're the same nuggets. I mean, they look made the same as the mother other nuggets, but you know, they got a different look. You see the coloring. They got like a dark reddish tint to them. I can't really pick that up, but yeah, y'all see that. Yeah. So I got the barbecue. I'll take a bite without it first, so I don't mash the flavoring. You feel me? Then I'm gonna try it with the sauce. I gotta see what's up with it. Huh. Okay. You know what? I like that.
At some point, you just gotta take a risk. Literally today, I just quit my job. I was working there for about 13 months, so a little over a year. And for the past few weeks before, and I literally just quit today, mind you. Today was the day, literally just a few hours ago. But yeah, and I didn't quit the job with like, oh, I have another job in mind. I realized if I want to elevate in my life and get to that next level, I gotta take the risk, man. You know, I'm ready to, you know, be my own boss.
All right, we're going to stop here for just a minute. Now, of course, we had a little fun with Chief Keece at the beginning, but amidst all that fun, there's some really serious stuff to talk about, okay? So he's 25 years old. He wants to be, from what I understand, a YouTube content creator. Of course, I'll put his channel link inside the description box, and as always, you know, I encourage my viewers to check out the person's channel. If it sounds of interest to you, by all means, support them and subscribe. Now, here's the thing. He's been at his job, he says, for 1 year. I'm not quite sure what his job is, but whatever it is he's done it for a year. So that would back him up from age 25 to age 24. This just ran about 3 weeks ago. I know he's been trending on a couple of different channels. And he says at some point you just have to take a risk. That is true, and you have to take a risk sometimes. I think he said to elevate yourself. Also true. But here's the thing. First off, a year on a job is nothing. I mean, that is absolutely nothing on a job to only have 1 year. Okay? The other thing is this. Risks have to be calculated. There are stupid risks, and then there are risks that you take that are very intelligent. They're well thought out. The video I did, which I will link at the end, I did it about 4 days ago, was on that 57-year-old woman, and she went completely viral. And she literally quit her job at the age of 54. She's now 57. Her video was just uploaded like a week or so ago. She's completely broke, cashed out her pensions and everything else, and she's literally short of living out of her car because she wanted to be an actress. I will link that at the end. These are risks that you don't want to take. And yeah, we can say that you know, in her case, she was older. I think her name was Casey, I think. Okay, but I'll link it at the end. But it doesn't matter if you're older like she is at 57, making, let's just face it, unwise, foolish choices, or if you're 25 years old, making unwise, foolish choices. And with the desperation that people have right now for finding work, to get steady income in this environment, in this economy, his ignorance as far as really understanding what a calculated risk is, it's showing. Now, in all due respect, I am not here to bash him. That's the last thing that I ever want to do, okay? But we are going to take a critical look, and I understand that, you know, when you're in your 20s, you think the world is your, you know, oyster, your cup of tea or whatever, and you're going to go out and conquer it. But he's got some roadblocks that I think he should have perhaps considered more of.
Work for myself.
Oh, and by the way, yes, working for himself, that is 10 times harder than working for somebody else. 10 times harder. That's why, like, when I do the Dave Ramsey commentaries, you'll hear Dave Ramsey often say, you know, look, You need a W-2 job if you're trying to stabilize. Working for yourself is not stability, especially in the early years. And I believe this guy, I'm not going to call him Chief Casey because I feel kind of weird calling him Chief. Unless that actually is his name, we'll just refer to him as Casey, okay? Or Keece. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. My apologies if I'm not. But Keece here could talk to someone who's highly experienced at self-employment. And any self-employed person will tell you that is successful. That's the key. A successful self-employed person will tell you, you think working 40, 50 hours a week is bad. Wait till you're working 80 to 100 hours a week on your business and you don't get paid because you didn't make any money. There are a lot of gaps here that I think Keece probably did not consider.
And this is extremely risky because I'm 25 years old. I have a 2-year-old son who greatly depends on me and his mother.
She's not your wife, she's your mother. Me and his mother. I've skimmed the video because I like to react to it as much in the raw with you guys. I believe that's his girlfriend, not his actual wife. And he's got a 2-year-old son. So he says, hey, I'm out of here. I've done this job for a year. I'm not even 10 years out of high school. Keeping reality check, okay? Not even 10 years out of high school, assuming he graduated, 17, 18. Okay, maybe even 16, okay? And he's got a 2-year-old son. So let's say now, so he becomes a parent at 23. Great. Nothing technically wrong with that. It's not me to judge, okay, what age people should have kids. But there is one thing, and that is if you're going to be 23 and you're going to have a kid, upping and quitting your job at 25 because you're tired of the work that you've done for a year, when you become a parent, your dreams kind of have to take a back burner to the stability of your child. I think it's his girlfriend, if I'm correct.
I live in a condo. Rent isn't extremely generous here. It does cost. There's a lot of bills that need to be paid.
If he thinks there are bills to be paid now, wait till he starts self-employment. And I believe, like I said, I think he wants to be a content creator. So, YouTube creator.
I have a dog. I have my lady. So it's not the most cheapest situation on the planet.
And you've decided to make it worse. The only difference between this video and a Dave Ramsey calls, we have a name and a face with it.
So it is extremely risky. I'm risking everything. I was prepared for the pushback from friends and family, my significant other, anybody who had pushback, but she supports me, and I'm grateful and blessed for that.
Now, this is interesting. So apparently you have a kid with your girlfriend. You're telling me that you are more committed to seeing you being self-employed than you are to seeing the stability of your girlfriend and your son. Just, something to think about. Not good enough of a relationship to marry the woman before or after you chose to have a kid. Not good enough for that. Or the woman that you had the kid with, she's not good enough for that. And that's not a risk you want to take, even though there's another life involved. But you're going to go ahead and take a risk to throw it all to the wind so you can go follow your dream. This is immaturity. Immaturity at its finest. This is what Dave Ramsey would say. What is it? Adults do what's logical. And immature people do simply what feels good. And I can't wrap my head around it, I guess. I can't wrap my head around someone who would throw their income to the wind and think that's okay. And on the other hand, also have a child to feed and the stability of that child and the lady that you chose to have a kid with outside of marriage, which I'm not judging. I don't judge that. I'm looking at the whole picture. Don't get me wrong here, okay? I don't claim to be I'm not anyone's religious, sounding board or anything like that. So that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the whole picture. In other words, what I'm looking at is, what are you willing to take a risk on? You won't take a risk on the mother of your child, but you'll take a risk on financially, possibly, most likely, hurting them so you can go chase your dreams of self-employment. It sounds to me like you put the cart before the horse. Because under the best of circumstances, that being you're single, you quit your job with a job to go to, and I seriously doubt you've done all your research and laid work on what it's like to be a content creator. But then again, you know, I might be wrong on all this.
But I realize, especially as a black male, because I worked at an office job, I worked in a call center, and I busted my ass, man. Like, I did everything that my managers asked of me, and then some. I took on a leadership role there. I mean, I did everything. And one thing I realized is, when you're in the industry, like working in an office or stuff like that, anything that's not a labor, break your back, Amazon delivery driver, something like that, I don't know. I just feel like management and people in higher positions always look at you with a yeah, but, because the people in the higher positions, they're all, you know, Caucasian. So and I have nothing against, it is what it is, and I don't want to make this like this type of video,
but you are. Go ahead. We're listening.
I just realized, just as an African-American male working in that space, there's no winning.
Okay. Where's my freaking fan? As someone who was raised by white parents, adopted by white parents, because I'm Vietnamese black, okay? Someone who was adopted by white parents, I can tell you this. A call center ain't got a dang thing to do with your race. It's a freaking call center. You're not climbing the corporate ladder with your 3 degrees getting passed over by someone who works in a mailroom. I understand he says he doesn't want to make it about race, but he did bring it up, so there we go. Young man, Mr. Keece, all due respect as a Vietnamese black female who has spent 15 years in corporate and 15 years in education. Like I said, you aren't even 10 years out of high school. And if you are already feeling this insensitive, if you are already feeling this sensitive, and I'm talking to you, Keece, so here, let me look in the camera, okay? Black person to black person, yes, I understand I was raised in Eugene, Oregon, which is about as white as it can get even today. But let's talk black person to black person. You have not worked in the working world long enough to be able to claim that you have been denied simply because of your race. You have not accrued enough stars and stripes under your belt, in my opinion, to claim that the opportunities that you have been denied is because of your race. What I do hear, again, we're going to pretend we're in a private room here, okay, and nobody's listening. What I do hear, however, is someone who perhaps is simply just tired of listening to authority. You're tired of listening to management. And guess what? When you go into self-employment, if you think your boss is hard to work with, wait till you get customers that threaten to sue you. Wait until you get customers that want to go out and put on Yelp that, God forbid, you're a racist yourself, whether it's true or not. God forbid that your service is really bad, whether it's true or not, because you said something or did something that might have been legal but they didn't like. In other words, if you think getting away from difficult situations gets easier when you're self-employed, you have got to be kidding me. You've not earned the right, in my mind at 57, to claim that what you've been denied is because of race. Come talk to me in 20 years, or hell, come talk to me in, 15 years, when you've got your master's degree, You've done everything you really can, and you get passed up for a promotion by someone who works in a mailroom. Then you can sit down and have a conversation with me. And how do I know that? How would I come up with that example? Yes, when that happened to me, I was hitting just before my mid-30s. You see, at 25 years old, basically, I don't know, 7, 8 years out of high school, Mr. Keece, I think you might have a little bit, not saying all Gen Zers, I think you might have a little bit of that attitude of, gee, I don't understand why everything doesn't come so easy and why everyone doesn't just admire me for all of my hard work and efforts. You see, it's something called that learning curve you got to do. You kind of got to work your way and earn that respect. You haven't earned it. Just in my opinion. What I hear is someone who really just doesn't like taking orders. And I'm almost willing to bet if I were to backtrack and look at you as a high school student, I don't know. I'm just saying, okay? Somewhere or another, somebody convinced you that working for people, you know, they're all supposed to bow down and say how wonderful you do, how great you do. All right? That's not the purpose of work. The purpose of work is to work for someone, get a task done that they need done. If you get kudos, wonderful. If you don't take it overly personally. I mean, we all like kudos. I love kudos. Who doesn't like kudos? But I don't go home, and if my bosses don't give me kudos, go, you know what? I'm tired, because the color of my skin, I've been carrying this sucker for 57 years, and I would really, I just don't understand why they don't just appreciate it. You work at a call center. You couldn't stick that out for more than a year, and so you decide to chuck everything to the wind. In other words, Mr. Keece, I do not want you at 25 years old looking at yourself as a racial victim. Because if you do look at yourself that way, then what's going to happen when someone who is white gives a contract to another white guy instead of a contract to you? Are you going to claim that was racism? If you are this sensitive at 25, and trying to go, oh my God, you know, as a black man, I just can't get ahead, then guess what? You're right. You're not going to be able to get ahead because it's already in your mind that you can't. The problem isn't the call center. The problem's you.
There's always going to be a question mark no matter how good you do, no matter how much you outperform and put up the best stats and show up on time and do everything and lead and hold yourself accountable, you know, anything they ask, you know.
Yes, that's called the working world of adulthood. Yes, that's right. Everybody that is committed to their job to some extent will tell you it's thankless. You want to talk about thankless work? Go into education. Holy cow. You want to talk about thankless work? Right now, try having been 15 years with the federal government to have them tell you you're out. You want to talk about thankless work? Talk about people who work with special needs students and parents who raise special needs childs. It never ends. So if you're looking for some resting spot where you feel that you are finally thanked, wait until I think, like I said, I think he wants to be a content creator. Matter of fact, I'm almost positive of it, okay? You want to talk about thankless work? I've run this channel for 5 years and didn't break 1,800 subscribers until September 2024. Just 6 months ago. 6 months ago, I finally broke 1,800 subscribers. And let me tell you, and I was posting content. It's not like I let it sit for 6 months. I had maybe a year and a half of that last 5 years. I was a little lazy. But man, the first part started out strong. And then in 2023, I decided I was going to do it. I could sit around and go, oh my God, you know, this is just such thankless work. There is no resting pad. There is no place where we're going to go, well, finally, I feel thanked. And if you think self-employment is where it's going to be, oh, wait till you deal with the IRS and self-employment.
Over time, all that, it's always going to be, yeah, but, you know, and I just didn't like the direction my job was going. It was almost like they were just, the more I did, the more they expected. And it's just like, yeah, well, and then there's people, you know, moving up faster than me. But I'm like, dude, I'm hustling, so.
We's all be hustling. We're all hustling. Life is not fair. But if you're going to change your life and you're going to do something, you don't throw, the baby out with the bath water. You don't jump from one frying pan into, another frying pan, especially when you got a girlfriend and a 2-year-old that depend on you. There comes a point where, you know how many fathers and mothers work extra hard to make sure their family has a roof over their head? I guess my question is, what makes you different?
I mean, I've always been kind of a person who always wanted to work for myself, and I have a plan.
I will say that I think he said in a video that he has a savings account. Whatever it is, the savings account is not big enough that it would make me feel comfortable. I don't know what his savings account is, but short of him being a multi-millionaire where he could take 2 years off, again, the game changer to me is you got a 2-year-old.
I'm gonna get into, running my own business and uploading on YouTube, of course. I've always been, off and on YouTube, especially on this channel, off and on for, several years. As you can probably look back, I've experimented with many forms of content.
Yes, I've looked at your YouTube channel, at least this particular one, Chief Keece, the one that we are actually watching your video on. I did look at it. I'll leave people to judge their own stuff.
It's been hard to keep up with, but,
this is hard to keep up with, and you want to be self-employed?
I will be uploading quite frequently on this channel, most likely, a lot more. Just giving updates and giving my advice and my experiences and my perspective on things, and trying to pass the as much knowledge as I have through my experiences and through the things that I've went through to you guys. I've worked a lot of jobs, guys. You name it, I've done it. Delivery, warehouse, office, HR, call center.
That's because you're working jobs. You're not building a career. And my dad gave me advice ages ago. Build a career. Otherwise, you're just going to spend your life working jobs.
Janitor, you name it.
You're supposed to do that when you got a 2-year-old. You're supposed to do that. You have dads who ride electric bicycles because they can't afford a car and they have to get to work because they have to feed the family. This is not special. This is not unique. I'm not trying to kill his dream of, someday I want to be self-employed. But you haven't got the poker chips accrued to cash them out to take such a risk.
Pawn shop.
Okay. Sorry for the stops, but people, that's the way it goes sometimes. Here's the thing. Here's a 57-year-old piece of anti-advice that I would give Keece. Keece, the fact that you've gone through all these different jobs tells me right now self-employment is wrong for you. Why? Because you don't have a focus. You're jumping from job to job to job to job to job to job. You say that after 1 year at a pawn shop, not a pawn shop, because he said he worked at a pawn shop, but you're saying 1 year at a call center, I'm out. So if you're going job to job, and let's just say you graduate at 17, what this is telling me is that you don't have stability in your life. You are not yet ready to tie yourself down. Hence why you have a child, but you haven't married the mother of the child. There is a certain part of you that you don't like commitment. I would be more impressed, or at least more hopeful, if you had said, hey, I've done 3 different jobs since high school. I've been in each of them for 2 years, 3 years. Or I was, in one of them for 4 years, and then I did this one for a year. But what you're telling me is you've got a whole long list of employment and no stability. And if you think becoming a YouTube content creator or whatever it is that you want to do in addition to the YouTube content is going to be easier, being self-employed takes a whole lot of discipline. I was married to someone who is self-employed. It is hard work. And I put in a few expletives in there, but I have to try to keep this a family channel. So what this is telling me, if I were an employer, okay, and I'm willing to pay you, I would look at your job to job to job to job to job to job resume and say, you're not focused. You haven't figured out what area you're going to go into, and that's fine. Okay, it really is. I mean, you got your 20s to do all that. The concern is you have a 2-year-old. That's the big concern. And so you're carrying the habits or the lifestyle of someone who is child free. Okay, because that's still what's in your mind. Yes, I know you love your son. Don't get me wrong in that. Okay, but it's like he's got in his head he's child free. He's acting as if he's child free, doing all this bouncing around with jobs, which is fine. That 20-year-olds can hustle and shuffle around town and do as they find themselves. But when you have a child, that freedom, in my opinion, takes a back seat to you providing stability for your family. And that includes the girlfriend. So, just my thought.
I mean, bro, you need Walmart. I worked at a freaking Japanese store called Daiso, an Asian store that sold random, Hello Kitty and Sanrio and a whole bunch of other cool stuff there.
And how
you name it, I worked at quite a few jobs.
Okay, and how many of these jobs, I would want to know, Mr. Casey, did you have run-ins with people in leadership? How many of these jobs did you think you were being mistreated because they didn't thank you enough? How many of these jobs did you think that the color of your skin was the factor as to why you don't get treated the way you want? We have to separate. When you start going, off the deep end with job to job to job, you have to kind of wonder. To me, there's the job to job that's healthy. Okay, you're young, you're free, you're just out of your parents' house. Maybe you're going to school or not going to school. Maybe you're going to a trade. Maybe you decide just to hit the workforce, and you're finding yourself, and you're hopping around doing the happy dance as you hang out with your friends. There's actually a healthy aspect and a growth aspect to it. Okay, but then to me, there's also the job to job hopper that's unhealthy, sees themselves as a victim, sees themselves as being held down by the man, so to speak. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Okay? Doesn't mean racism, unfairness, separate from racism. All just because you've been treated unfairly, there's a lot of people have been treated unfairly and it ain't got a dang thing to do with race, okay? But when you start building the mindset that you're a victim and you're constantly running from job to job because you feel like you're a victim, I guess that's the situation that I see here. It's the running because you feel victimized. And if you think being self-employed is going to do it, holy cow. Let me tell you, here's a fact about YouTube, okay? It's a true fact, and I looked it up, and forgive me, it's kind of the late night hour here, so I'm not going to, forgive me, I don't come armed with facts and stuff, but you can look it up, okay? So let's just take this YouTube channel right here. Let's take YouTube in general, okay? I'm a black creator. Duh, okay? Vietnamese black creator. If I were going to go on what Keece says, his mind frame, okay, on race, here's what I would have said after 5 years. Again, I was on YouTube. I started YouTube on 2019. It can be verified on my channel, okay? I could have sat and I could have gone, man, I don't get any freaking subscribers. I get no likes. I get no comments. I mean, I could put a video up, and if it got 50 views in 6 months, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? Everybody just hates me because of my skin. I don't get enough kudos. I don't understand why people don't watch this stuff. If I go with that mentality, then guess what? I've already lost. And statistically, on YouTube, a lot of people may not know this, there are content creators who feel that YouTube is racist and only pushes out content for white people, yada yada. I don't buy into that. Because if I buy into that, then I've already lost. And then I'll go hopping from channel to channel to channel, trying to figure out what the problem is. You just stay your course. You do the best job you can. And eventually it clicks. If Keece is hopping from job to job because he feels like a victim, if he thinks being a black man on YouTube is going to be any easier, Holy cow, you got to be kidding me. Just because it's virtual doesn't make it any easier. In fact, it sometimes makes it harder because you're recording and it's like you're talking to yourself. You're like, is anybody going to listen to this? And you can put your heart out onto a project and get little to no response. Is he going to say that that's because he's a black man on YouTube? And statistically, of course, there are far fewer black people on YouTube than there are white people on YouTube. It's just a statistical fact. Okay? And there are lots of reasons for that. I'm not going to get into all that, okay? But if he's 25 years old and he's playing victim already as to why he's not successful, then what excuse are you going to have when you become self-employed and you fail at it? Who are you going to blame? Because any good self-employed person is going to tell you the only person you blame is you. You are the business owner. The buck stops with you. I am the creator of this channel. The buck stops with me. Whether the channel fails or succeeds, it's me. It's not my skin tone. And somewhere along the line, and some people out there are going to say, this is just Gen Z. I don't want to look at a whole generation through that lens. So I'm not. But since Keece brought it up, going into self-employment and throwing your finances into the toilet. And yes, I know he said in another video, which I only watched a couple minutes of, okay? But I watched it long enough for him to say he had some money saved up. I'm sorry, you've got people who have been looking for a job for a year, year and a half, 2 years, highly skilled, that could, put his resume under the table. They're that highly skilled. They can't find work. So, Keece, if you became self-employed as a way to get back at the man or the system or whatever it is, all your bad managers or whatnot, that is not what I would refer to as a strategic move. That's stupid. It's foolish. And I think he probably needs to have a real heart-to-heart talk with himself about why did you make the move. Yes, on the surface it's, I want to be my own boss and I've always wanted to be. But people who are their own bosses also understand that most businesses fail. Most businesses, you need a couple years of savings, not just to run the business, but to also run your household. And you can't go into self-employment because you're bitter about something else. And I kind of detect that there is some bitterness, maybe a little mixed with a little anger. That is what fueled this decision. And something that mature people will tell you is you never make big decisions. Like, I'm going to leave a job without a job to go to when I have a girlfriend and a 2-year-old. It's the 2-year-old I'm more concerned about than the girlfriend because she's also an adult and she can be working as well. Okay? But going into self-employment and throwing your finances to the wind because you're upset, not the way to do it.
So this is being my own boss has always been something I've been interested in. Just because, just you get tired of just being devalued and disrespected. And, at some point you got to recognize your value and recognize your worth and recognize your potential.
You want to talk about disrespect? Some of the comments that I have to delete from my YouTube channel? I haven't had to do it a whole lot, but there have been a few comments I've had to go, no. And I rarely cut out comments. Like somebody just saying, hey, she talks too much. Whoop-dee-doo. Okay? Those comments don't bother me. Okay? But there have been only a couple that were like, okay, you want to talk about disrespect. How are you going to deal with disrespectful people in your business? Okay? Where they're paying you. You're not getting paid. At least on my job, if someone's disrespectful to me that's a customer, I go, well, I am getting paid for it, so let's just go ahead and put up with it. I sense, and I could be wrong, Mr. Keece, but I sense that part of the reason you did this rash move on your finances is you're angry. You're upset. You want out of a situation that you don't like. Self-employment is fine when you're doing it out of discipline, emotional development, personal growth, and all of that, and you have the finances all in line.
But, potential is one thing, but you actually have to act on it. you can't just be scared forever. I'm 25, but when you have a kid, it changes your mindset a bit. I'm 25, but I'm living like I'm 35. I feel like I'm a
No, you're 25 and you're living like you're 20, single, no kids.
bit older than, my mindset feels a bit older right now.
No, your mindset's respectfully, no, your mindset is not older. It's actually very immature. And I think you said at the beginning of the video, some people have tried to talk you out of it because we see it.
Than maybe compared to some other 25-year-olds that don't have kids, because having a kid does change your mindset. But this is what I'm going to do. This is an extreme risk, but I'm going all in 100%. You got to take risks in life. Like my guy on TV, FS1, Colin Coward. You got to take big swings, man, if you want to elevate.
You don't take risks because of some guy on TV. You don't take risks because of what I tell you on YouTube. You don't take risks because that risk worked for one person. You don't do that. Every risk is individual to the situation, the person or people involved. It has to be very well thought out.
I want to elevate, just being stagnant, being at the bottom, fighting against, all the, the stuff, working for a company just to barely get anywhere. I could work for a company for 5, 10, 15 years just to make a couple bucks more.
5 years for me to get to 1,800 subscribers. And I love each and every one of you. Each and every one of you. And I appreciate you. All of you. I wouldn't be here today without you. And I mean that most sincerely. Great. My deepest thanks and gratitude.
A couple bucks more. It's not. What am I doing here? I'm grinding my ass for.
This is why you try to figure this out before you become a parent. You try not. I understand there's no perfect time to become a parent. Okay, I get it. All right, but there are some times that may be better for some people than others. Some people can become parents at 23 and knock it out of the ballpark and they're wonderful. Other people may need to wait till they're 30. I've known people that wait till they're in their 40s. Okay? Nearly 50. The timing is different for everybody. But regardless of when that timing is for you, I genuinely believe, at least as I was taught in my family, once you become a parent, your personal needs and goals are second to what your child needs. That does not mean you give up, you can't ever have anything nice for yourself, or stay centered for yourself. But the bottom line is, it comes between, I work at a call center and I got a baby to feed, or toddler to feed, then I keep working at that call center. Well, I'm working at that call center, I'm going to be hustling it to find another job to go to. That's how I was taught.
Instead of spending 40 hours a week at a job, I could use those 40 hours and put into my business, what I want to do, my businesses, into my company, into what I want to grow, instead of benefiting someone else. And this is stuff you've all heard before, but the time is now. And I recommend to you.
The time is now, when the economy has gone to, when jobs are harder than ever. I will be honest, in my 57 years, I've never seen the job market this bad. I had of course, I didn't, probably didn't care about the job market when I was living in Vietnam until I was 5 years old, almost 5, okay? I was adopted at 4.5, but in my adult years, I should say, I have never seen the economy in this state.
If you've been feeling like, 2025, this is my year, I'm going to take over, I'm going all in, do it.
All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. It's kind of a late night, but we're going to upload this. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead and link Chief Keece's stuff at the bottom. And to Mr. Keece, I do appreciate you sharing your story, because it gives us different perspectives and different views. Okay, I don't, wish to, this is not hate, okay, but it is my thoughts and things that I really, really think that people need to consider. And of course, different opinions are always welcome on my channel. Write it in the comments. You can certainly tell me, Carrie, you're absolutely nuts. You're totally wrong. That's cool. All I require is that the comments are kept polite. But honestly, oh, and don't forget, I'm going to link. We're gonna go right now to the woman who was 57, and she quit her job and threw everything to the wind 3 years ago. And about a week ago, not even 2 weeks ago, about a week ago, she did a story on basically the disastrous state her life is in. We wish the best for everybody, but risk must be logical. All right, folks, let's go to 57 and quit her job. We're going to do that right now.